Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
What up, dog? Detroit, it's time to wake up. Woodward, it's your boy Brandon, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid, here with Mr. Matt Broder himself, and we got Mr. Sam Reynolds, Flannel Sam himself.
He's
back today.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. And chat, I need you guys to be on point, man. As you guys file in here, definitely smash that like button to support the crew. I need you guys to be on point in these chats today. But we got to get to some of these headlines. We got to get just right into it because it's appropriate on the day that Flannel has returned to the show that we're going to definitely later in the show, we're going to grade Aidan Hutchinson, his season's 2023 season. But Michigan basketball, can we get a round of applause? They didn't have a second half, well, a complete second half collapse. They beat number 11 Wisconsin. So now Michigan has 3 wins in the conference. I know that Sam has to be ecstatic about that. And I had to clip this way, man. Look at this headline here. They made sure to put Juwan Howard in there. Like, yo, Michigan won, but in spite of Juwan Howard. Just for the appeasement of Flannel. Bro, I got to get your take on this, man.
You know what? I have a couple of different takes. One, I've always hated Wisconsin basketball. I remember those years, and I know, Broder, you were at Michigan at the time, those Bo Ryan teams that were just gritty and they were just those like gritty and grind teams that didn't really have a whole lot of talent. They would win games like 54-48. They were ugly. They were aesthetically just an eyesore to watch, and it hasn't really been that different, although this year there's a little bit more athleticism. They've sprinkled in some NBA talents over the years, like Alondo Tucker, for example, and more recently Frank Kaminsky. But I despise Wisconsin basketball. I always have. So I'm happy about this win in that standpoint. But why does this win almost make me even more mad? Because this is the type of win. Michigan got a win over the number 11 ranked Wisconsin team. And it makes me think to myself, just imagine if you could win this game, why couldn't you hold that 9-point halftime lead and that 15-point second half lead versus Rutgers? Why couldn't you hold double-digit halftime leads to Maryland and Penn State? Why couldn't you beat Long Beach State when you had a halftime lead in that game? Why couldn't you beat McNeese State, a team a team that's actually a lot better than we might have thought under Will Wade, former LSU coach? But still, when you look at McNeese, they haven't beaten anybody. Why couldn't you win one of the overtime games against either Oregon or Florida? If any of those games that I mentioned go differently, if Michigan wins them or even most of them, they'd probably be a borderline bubble team right now. And this is the type of win, a quad 1 win over a number 11th ranked team that could have catapulted Michigan into tournament consideration. Now all it is a reminder that this Michigan team was never meant to be this bad, that Juwan Howard, his coaching and Michigan's late game execution, this game notwithstanding, has still been historically bad. So in that regard, I'm actually more mad. Way too little, way too late. Juwan Howard still should not be allowed in the city of Ann Arbor for the rest of his life. Get him a restraining order. Jesus. Get him out of the state. Goodbye. I know this doesn't make me feel any better.
You know what? I think you covered that well, man. I really do. And I've still now changed more stinky diapers in 3 days than Michigan has conference wins. So that still stands right now. But you know what? Before we go to the Pistons won again, right? Before we go there, you know what? There was a little bit of breaking news yesterday, and we want to make sure we get to some of these Detroit sports headlines when we kick off the show. So I got to go to our Detroit Tigers beat writer here at Woodward Sports, man. The Detroit Tigers made a trade, man.
Oh, yeah. Nick Maton.
Yes,
Nick Maton headed to the Baltimore Orioles for, I believe, cash consideration.
That old cash consideration.
The old cash consideration. This looks like just another sign. They're pumping their time, energy, focused, the at-bats, the field time to their young players. Nick Maton whether he was going to be a third baseman, an outfielder. He was going to be a utility guy for this team. So give him a fresh start. Let him move on to Baltimore. Get something, at least a little something in return. Not one that's going to move a needle, but I know a lot of people, the Wolfie, he was a fan. He was a fan favorite for some, but I think you probably got to spend more of the year over batting 100 to really make an impact on the major league
Especially
field.
as a utility man. He didn't quite measure up to the Brandon Inge of utility men in Detroit Tigers, right?
I liked what he had. He had a little bit of potential. Just, hey, this is the time to move on.
People act like I have this vendetta against Brandon Inge or anything like that. It's not Brandon Inge. My vendetta is against the cult worship of Don Kelly. Brandon Inge was actually a pretty good player. Don Kelly was trash. But anywho, when it comes to
Donnie Kelly, baby.
Nick Maton, you know what was frustrating about him, Broder, at least for me, is that he was one of those guys on this Tigers team that actually had pretty good plate discipline, would take a walk, but he was hitting 173. So even with him hitting 173, despite the fact that his OBP was over 100 points higher than his batting average, it almost didn't matter because his batting average was, 173 is historically bad. You should be in the minors for that, no matter who you are. But there was certainly potential with him. It's just 173 is not good enough, no matter how. Not even close to good enough, even if your on-base percentage, at least compared to your batting average, is good, but it's still under 300 because your batting average is so bad. So I got to say good riddance.
It's also under the Mendoza line. And whenever they have a name for poor play, you know you've gone under a really bad threshold.
He's so far below the Mendoza line that he can't see the Mendoza line. He's 27 points below the Mendoza line. Come on now. So good riddance.
Corey Berry said in the chat, he said getting cash considerations like a distant second to player to be named later.
Hey, yeah.
It's one of those trades with a box of baseballs.
That is on today. Well, I like it already. And what else, man? We got another headline in Detroit. Let's pull up that Jaden Ivey graphic real quick, man. Jaden Ivey, the Detroit Pistons, they did defeat the Sacramento Kings 133 to 120. Let's go. Let's give them a round of applause.
Shout out.
Good times. So they won again. And you know what, man? They tried to troll the Pistons.
I saw that.
F the Kings, bro. Just straight up. Like, if the Pistons didn't go out there and win, man, this would have been like heartbreak times two. They tried to troll the Pistons and the city of Detroit with what? The
San
Francisco
catch. Yeah, they were playing on loop in their warm-ups. The Brandon Ayuk catch off of Kendall Vildor's face mask, just on loop while the Pistons were warming up, trolling. Because the Sacramento Kings have been so good for the last several years. They have such a dominant, historic franchise. They were trolling the Pistons, who went in and stomped right on them. Jaden Ivey, 37 points. Kool-Aid, come on.
Yep, definitely. A career high 37 points, 19 in the fourth to seal that win for the Detroit Pistons. And they had 70 points at halftime, man.
It's crazy.
70. And look at this. It's the young guard. On the stream last night via Woodward Pistons, I was going through, I had Hu Tran from the Hitting the High Notes Jazz podcast. He covers the Utah Jazz for the Believe Network. And he was able to kind of break down the trade. And we're going to get into the NBA trade deadline a little bit later in the show. But one of the things that I talked about was wanting to see the Detroit Pistons young core, and we talked about this on yesterday's show too, being what the Detroit Pistons can depend on. A lot of us want to see them go out there and make a splash, but realistically, when you're drafting these guys first, fifth, and then Marcus Sasser was a very good value pick later on in that first round, you want to see those be the guys that lead your team to success. You want to see those guys be the ones that are responsible for the victories. And obviously this one was without Cade Cunningham, which brings up a completely different argument as well. Who should be the one to kind of lead that offensive attack? Jaden Ivey's coming around to look like probably the Detroit Pistons out of this kind of core, one of their best scorers, if not their best scorer with the ball in his hands. But Cade Cunningham has also had some pretty efficient stretches with the ball in his hands. I know before he went down, he had a 7 or 8 game stretch where he was averaging about 28 points, 7 or 8 assists, but his efficiency tends to go up when he's off ball more. What I saw last night when Cade Cunningham gets back, I'm hoping that the Detroit Pistons allow that backcourt to kind of work itself out with Cade off ball, Jaden Ivey with the ball in his hands, and Monty Williams get out the way, bro. Just let them play, man. Let them play. What I saw last night from the Pistons draft pick, from parts of their core, is exactly what we need to see every night. Obviously, it's not going to be career highs all the time, but the all-out effort, the confidence that was placed in them and ability to just go, That's what needs to happen for these Detroit Pistons. And the other little bit of news here, man. You know, we're going to get into it more in our next segment as well. But the Detroit Pistons, they made a couple trades, and we're also going to talk about 2 or 3 more trades that they're already being rumored.
There's got to be more coming, right? I know you're going to talk about these, but there has to be more.
Yeah, right now they currently have 16 players on the roster. These deals haven't been consummated yet because Kevin Knox couldn't technically be traded until today.
Gotcha.
So they, as of that deal going through, they're going to have 16, which means they either need to cut somebody or they need to make more trades. I did tease that yesterday, just some things that we were hearing that the Pistons have to have more on the way, and it's looking like they will. And we're going to get more into that, man. Some stuff from Woj, some stuff from Pompey. There's a lot of stuff kind of floating around with the Detroit Pistons, and it seems like one of these vets might be gone. And one of the players that Troy Weaver, 1 or 2 of the players that Troy Weaver has drafted since this restore has started, they might be on their way out as well. But the first trade that kind of popped up, and we'll just kind of tease it, it was a trade for Simone Fontecchio. That's the proper way to say his name. We'll break down more of who he is as a player. The Pistons sent out Kevin Knox, the rights to get to Pistons fan favorite Gabriel Procida, and a 2024 second-round pick. But we're going to get more into it. I know Monte Morris was also traded as well, but we'll get into it, man, after the break.
I'm excited to hear the strategy behind how this is all started. I'm excited to pick your brain a little bit, see if you can make sense of what they're thinking now. You want me to tell them about Planet Fitness before we get there?
I do. First, though, I need you guys. You already understand it. Phone lines are open, 313-552-6322. Once again, that is 313-552-6322. Need you guys to call in. We got a packed show today, and we also got Doc, who's going to be joining us a little bit later.
The Doc, Macaroon, let's go. That's 8:30.
Because he's going to work out today. I already know that.
Oh, this is a perfect day for Doc. We got NBA trade deadline, Super Bowl coming up, NFL, Tigers are starting. Doc knows just about everything about all 4 Detroit sports teams. So let's go. Planet Fitness time. It is your home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. At Planet Fitness, you'll experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full-body workout in just 30 minutes, and all memberships include fitness training. You get all this for just $10 a month? No commitment? Are you kidding me? No matter where you are, there's a Planet Fitness close by. Your fitness is essential.
Feel alive during Feldman Chevrolet's biggest New Year's sales event ever. Get the best prices on our huge selection of award-winning Chevrolets. Like this 2024 Equinox for $188 per month. Or this 2024 Silverado for $268 per month. It's the New Year's sales event going on now at Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
Have you ever wondered where all the finest restaurants get their steaks? It's Fairway Packing Company, providing Michigan restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef for over 60 years. But now you can buy these cuts of meat for yourself at the Steak Shop by Fairway Packing Company. Prime porterhouse, A5 Japanese New York strip steak, dry aged Wagyu beef tomahawk. Delicious. Get to the Steak Shop today. Enjoy fine wine, have a private party, and get the finest cuts of meat anywhere. The Steak Shop on Mack Avenue in Grosse Pointe Woods, or order online, fairwaypacking.com.
We've just received word. The world's cannabis supply has vanished. The public is outraged and has taken to the streets in response to this tragedy. The individual responsible acted alone, and we can only hope they will make things right soon.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
Welcome back. It's time to wake up, Woodward. I'm so glad that you guys are able to be here with us. Definitely hit that like button to support the crew and to support the stream. And that phone line, once again, is 313-552-6322. We're here with the whole crew. You guys already know what it is. It's your boy Brandon Dan, aka Detroit Kool-Aid. We got Mr. Matt Broder down there.
Morning.
Flannel Sam Reynolds himself is back. Couldn't be more happy to have my bro back in the building. And you guys already know we got the most elite booth boys at Woodward Sports and really in the whole entire media game. We got the GOAT, JB Smooth in the TD booth. Man, say what up to the people, bro.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Matter of fact, hey.
Good morning.
I think you're muted.
And we got
No, he's up.
yeah, and we got Mr. KG himself, the real KG, Detroit
Yes, sir.
first round draft pick KG.
Top of the morning. What's going on, y'all?
What up, though?
What up, though?
What up, though?
Feeling good, man. The Pistons did something. They did something. I'm
did
cool
something.
with
I
that.
don't know
Let's
what, but
start
they
with
did
that. They
They
did not
did
sit
something.
on the deadline. So, man.
Yeah, look, and I couldn't be, you know what? I'm actually okay with these early developments. It shows me that they are setting this thing up for something a little bit bigger down the road. I'm hoping that's by this trade deadline and not the offseason. But if it is by the offseason, I am at least okay with some of the moves that they've made. Obviously, we're going to recap a little bit. The bigger trade of the two that they've made already was Simone Fontecchio.
Simone!
And that was for Kevin Knox, the rights to Procida, and a 2024 second-round pick. And when I got to talk to Hutran from the Hitting the High Notes Jazz podcast, he covers Utah Jazz for the Believe Network. He gave me some pretty good tidbits, man. And there was a clip that I actually posted on socials yesterday, and it's actually should be on Woodward Sports Twitter as well. That kind of shows a little bit of this guy's game. His rookie season to his sophomore season in the NBA, he made some big jumps, especially with the three-point shooting. He's a high-volume three-point shooter. He stands about 6'7", 6'8". 4.7 three-pointers a game is what he attempts, and he hits it at about a 39.1% clip.
I like to hear that.
That's pretty good. And it's not just a standstill shooter. He's one of those guys that relocates. So one thing that you've heard me scream about in the Woodward Pistons podcast is that nobody on this team moves. You see Cade Cunningham dribbling. You see Ivy dribbling. Nobody's cutting. Nobody's moving. Nobody's filling the empty space that's created by the ball handler. This guy does those things, and he was actually a starter for the Utah Jazz. He's been starting for them since about mid to early December, and he's actually been a big part of they haven't had a lot of success, but he's been a big part of their offense. I know that their fans are a little bit like, yo, why did we make this move? They're not necessarily understanding the kind of what the Utah Jazz are doing. They thought if there was a move to be made, it would be to kind of free up a little bit of cap space going into this free agency. So this was a move that people questioned. He is going to be a restricted free agent, so that kind of signals to me that the Utah Jazz had already known they're probably going to go in a different direction next year rather than picking up that RFA deal for him.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Does this move, actually two questions, does this move tell you anything? Bojan Bogdanovic is still on the team, right?
He is.
Yeah, so does this say anything about what their plans might be with Bogey? And maybe we'll get more into it after. That second-round pick, that's not just a throw-in. That could be a very high second-round pick, possibly number 32, 33, 34. Are you okay with giving that up? Now we don't have a second-round pick for a couple of years. Our picks are limited at the moment.
Yeah, the Pistons largely, they've shown that whenever they do win a second-round pick, they can go out there and either acquire one or buy one pretty easily. Every year that they've needed one, they've gone out there and done that. They haven't necessarily utilized their second-round picks. Generally, they trade back into the first round, and they'll do multiple picks that way so they can get the higher picks. So if you look back at Troy Weaver's history, the first year he had 3 first-round picks. He just said, screw, I think the second-round pick actually would have been Saban Lee. The second year, he got Cade Cunningham and Isaiah Livers. The third year, it was Jaden Ivey, and then he traded back into the first round to get Jalen Duren. Then the fourth year, it was Asar Thompson. Then he traded back into the first round to get Marcus Sasser. I'm actually a little bit more okay with that strategy. But obviously, with a team that's kind of void of talent, you never want to just give up opportunities. But they did receive another second-round pick. But it's for 2030 and another deal. And I assume some of the deals that are going down today will actually help to replace those things. But you mentioned Bojan with this trade because the one thing I like about Simone Fontecchio is the fact that he plays defense. Mm-hmm. He's a two-way wing. He's not necessarily the scorer that Bojan is, but he brings a little bit more defense, a little bit more kind of creative ability. Some of the things that I liked out of Bojan last year that seemed to be a little less consistent this year this guy kind of does. He's not necessarily the potent scorer that Bojan is, but in terms of all-around game, he brings a little bit more to the table than Bojan does. But I don't think it necessarily replaces him or makes him more expendable. It does make another one of our three-point shooters expendable. And I'm going to talk about that right after, though, we talk. You know what? No, we'll talk about it right now. Kind of some of the rumors that are out there right now is Alec Burks. That's the three-point shooter that I believe he's going to probably replace.
Okay.
The Woj Pod mentioned that Detroit and Philadelphia had conversations yesterday. It broke off late last night, but it's supposed to...
Bogey for Embiid?
You know what? That would be it, man. That would be the deal, right?
Saying.
Of the century.
Best
Yeah, we'll take
history
Maxey
right there.
too. Just throw them all in the deal.
Yeah. Talks are supposed to pick up again today, but it looks like Burks might be headed back to New York. It says that Detroit and New York talks key around Alec Burks. The deal could have Grimes plus expirings, Fournier, and potential picks coming back to Detroit.
Can we just get our pick back? Like, is there a scenario, and if you got other things to talk about, tell me to F off.
No.
But
let's talk ball, man.
The New York Knicks, they have the rights to a Pistons future first-round pick, right?
Yeah.
Could there be a situation where it's like, you have Alex Burks, we'll take just our pick back so we can get back in the first round, or something like that?
That pick is going to wind up, I know a lot of people are upset with that. That pick is going to wind up becoming a second-round pick for the New York Knicks.
Okay.
The longer it goes, the deeper. It has crazy protections on it to the point that if it doesn't convey, I believe within like 5 years or so, then it winds up becoming or conveying as a second-round pick for the New York Knicks.
Gotcha.
Which is
why
vital. Those protections that Troy Weaver put on that pick, now I kind of see why at least some of the losing is all bad, but at least in this case, they get some aspect of help with it. This year, I know it's top 18 protected. Next year is a little bit more, a little less protected. But if it doesn't convey after next season, then I believe it is a second-round pick. The other thing, as it relates to the trade deadline, it is today at 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the trade deadline when it officially comes to a close. The Pistons are also showing interest in Buddy Hield.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
I'll take that.
Please.
Yeah, I'll take that too.
I don't know who they're talking about trading for it. I haven't seen too much about it yet. But that was from Pompey on Sixers that the Detroit Pistons are interested in him. And so it could be a wild day for the Detroit Pistons. I'm hoping they make some requisite deals to bring more rotation players in. All the trades they've made so far have been about bringing in rotation players, except for the Monte Morris deal. Monte Morris, Michigan native. He wanted to play for the Detroit Pistons. He was proud to be able to put on that jersey. We got to talk to him at a couple media availabilities. I got to speak to him at a lot of the different community events as well. You talk about a guy who was in the streets, and wherever the Pistons were doing community events, he was there. And then even if they weren't doing stuff, he still found ways to give back to Flint, to Saginaw, to Detroit, to different high schools, to little leagues and things of that nature. This is just an all-around good guy who effectively got the dream of a lifetime to be able to come home and put on a jersey that he's still to this day. He said, this will always be a special jersey and a special place for me. This was his team. They did trade him to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Shake Milton, Troy Brown Jr., and 1 second-round pick back to the Pistons, which is going to be a 2030 second-round pick. They are rotation guys. The second years on both of those deals for Shake Milton and for Troy Brown Jr. are both non-guaranteed. So the Pistons don't have to bring them back. They don't have to spend that money. So it frees up a little bit more cap space for them going into the offseason, but it brings in some more rotation pieces. That's now 5 rotation pieces that the Detroit Pistons have brought in the last 3 or 4 weeks from Danilo Gallinari, Mike Muscala, Shake Milton, Troy Brown Jr., and Simone Fontecchio. So they're doing some things. We want to kind of see if they get a buddy. That to me would be not necessarily a huge splash, but you know what? That's more than throwing pebbles in the water and looking at the little droplets come up. That's more like throwing a decent-sized rock in there and getting a player back that I believe can ultimately mesh with this young core a little bit better and give them a little bit more of a veteran presence, but from a guy who's not too old.
Yeah. Is it safe to say that these moves, while sort of changing up their core a little bit or reinvigorating it, re-veteranizing it, we'll make up some words here this morning, this isn't necessarily going to be that core rotation moving forward, but it could set them up better in the offseason as Troy Weaver starts to make more serious moves around the NBA draft to really build the team that we think can, whatever next level is, get the Pistons, moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and that's what fans want too, man. Shout out Mason Leach. He said, I want names. We need names. I'm tired of having these bench guys from other teams. They are bench guys for a reason. And I agree with that. I've been saying that I want the Pistons to go out there and make this splash that they've been talking about they're going to make for the last kind of now 2 years. Go out there and bring in a guy to mesh. But the caveat here is that they believe Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren are the names. If we can't depend on those guys, like what's the name on the Orlando Magic's? Who's their name?
Paolo.
Yeah. Paolo
Franz
Banchero, Franz Wagner.
Franz.
But what are those guys? Are they big names that they went out and acquired, or big names that they went out and drafted?
Yeah.
That's the whole point here. They want their guys to step up and be those guys like we saw last night. Be the reason why this team is moving forward. Do I think that they need a name at that 4 spot? I absolutely do. I don't think that you're going to find anybody in this year's draft that's going to step in and be that guy. They need to go out there and find somebody. Some people are believing it's going to be a Tobias Harris type of a deal. If that's just your only shot, then okay. But I'm hoping they can go out there and work something a little bit different. They owe it to this young core. Yeah. But the moves they did make, at least you're changing over this kind of depending on 7 rookie contract players, and you're bringing in a few more rotation guys that can play a little bit better defense, can move a little bit better on offense, can cut and things of that nature. But I'm ready for the splash. I agree with the people.
I think one of the Splash Brothers.
Yeah.
So real quick, I did kind of hear that maybe the Killian Hayes trade request might have came from the organization per se and not necessarily from his camp. But where do you see the Killian Hayes thing going? Do you see him getting traded by the deadline, or is he going to be on this team going into the offseason?
If Monty Williams has his way, Killian Hayes is going to be on the team. If Troy Weaver has his way, Killian Hayes will be traded. He would have been traded this offseason. That's kind of the news that came out a little bit ago, maybe about a week ago, when this kind of Killian's camp wants him out. Troy Weaver was trying to trade him because I don't believe they're bringing him back. And he has a $10 million qualifying offer, a cap hold this summer. You just can't entertain that at all.
Absolutely not.
If they were to bring him back, this is a situation where they would wind up kind of releasing him anyway and then working out another deal for him. But I think that ship has sailed. I think our buddy Flannel would also agree with that as well. The ship for Killian Hayes has absolutely sailed. I owe you an apology, my brother.
Oh, you don't have to apologize. I mean, he made that 3 going into halftime, so that makes up last night. So that makes up for everything, right? I'm obviously shot in the chat. Probably that's probably actually what he's thinking. But no, yeah, Killian has definitely got to go, and it seems like at least with these moves that in some ways, or the Fontecchio move, shooting is something that the Pistons are prioritizing. I'm not saying it's a splash, but when you have some concerns with 3-point shooting with some of your core guys like Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham, Asar Thompson can't shoot threes at all. Jalen Duren doesn't shoot threes. You could obviously use more of that. Buddy Hield, I think, would be a nice move. Shake Milton is somebody that did not fit in Minnesota. He's actually had a pretty bad year, and his market value will never be lower. So we'll see if the Pistons can get anything out of him. He is a guy that was a pretty big part of some of those Joel Embiid-led 76ers teams that made some prematurely cut playoff runs, but still, Shake Milton, he was decent for them at least for a couple of years. So we shall see. Nothing that's going to move the needle too much, but Buddy Hield might move it just a tad.
Yeah, that would for me too. Like I said, if they can come away with at least that at the trade deadline, it would restore a little bit of faith. You're talking about adding a starter level player to this team. Obviously, Simone Fontecchio, he was a starter for the Utah Jazz. So you're getting 2 players who, honestly, you can depend on in this rotation and in this lineup, as well as beefing up kind of your rotation players. So let's see, man. 3 o'clock is the trade deadline. I will go live around 4 o'clock today on Woodward Pistons to be able to discuss anything that happens with these Detroit Pistons. So looking forward to it.
Let's go. I'm excited. Follow this man, Detroit Kool-Aid. This is for all the up-to-date Pistons news, baby.
Hey, that's what it is. But I know we got our special guest up next.
Doc.
Man. Yes, sir.
Doc, he's coming in. Before we get to Doc, John Macaroon, could you tell us about Premier Pet Supply Kool-Aid?
I can. It's appropriate, too, because I know John's going to be talking about the Lions. And what do you know? I got a pet lion, too. And you know where I go to get this pet lion the best, man? Premier Pet Supply is hands down Michigan's best pet store. Same prices and all the conveniences of the online and big box retailers with one major difference. Family and locally owned and operated for 30-plus years. Over 60 brands of food with nutrition experts to help you. Same day, local curbside and home delivery. Premier Pet Supply. Give your pet the best at www.premierpetsupply.com.
Thank you to all the fans for making Woodward Sports your #1 online destination for Detroit sports. We promise not to drop the ball.
Oh, yeah. Nothing. G-G-G-G-A. Oh, sorry, I forgot. There we go. Oh, cheers, buddy. I think we need to get you a pick.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
R.I.P. to the same old Lions. Big thanks to Sheila, Brad, and Dan for putting them to rest. And guess what else has found the grave? It's the same old rock, paper, scissors. Jack Labrador has revolutionized that tired game with 2 new symbols and a franchise-changing 3-point play. Discover the action at jacklabrador.gg now and find out why. Once you go Jack, you never go back.
What up, though, Detroit? Welcome back. It's Wake Up Woodward. I had to get appropriate, man, because we got the special guest on right now. We got Doc, John Macaroon, publisher of All Lions, Sports Illustrated writer, host of the Detroit Sports Podcast, one of the best people that I know, and he has on a pretty dope hat as well. Welcome to the show, John. How you doing, brother?
What up, though, Broder, Kool-Aid? It's all good. I'm excited, fired up. Man, those couple days off did everybody well. I know Broder's happy. Man, we get a chance to start looking and turning the page to the draft. Sam, what's up, JB? Everybody there? Thank goodness it's time now to look to the future. Everyone's excited. 2024, Super Bowl or bust for the Lions. I'm excited, man, to break it all down.
Hey, I'm glad you said that as well, man. Super Bowl or bust for the Detroit Lions. That's something that we've been kind of talking about this week on the show is Super Bowl aspirations or bust for the Lions. And Sam kind of took it a step further and said he would like to make sure their aspirations are actually Super Bowl win or bust for the Detroit Lions. Man, how are you feeling about their chances, especially with some of the early things that you've heard, coaching moves, some futures contracts, people that you think might break out and such? How are you feeling about those aspirations?
Oh, man. To sit and talk about the Detroit Lions Super Bowl window being open, it takes away the sting of that choke job against the 49ers. You look at this team, and I think first and foremost, everybody's excited. Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn are back. They decided to run it back with the Detroit Lions, which really goes to show you the trust level that they have in Dan Campbell, the respect that they have for this organization. Losing that way was absolutely devastating for everybody involved. Alex Anzalone, I know you guys talked about it earlier this week about the piece that he penned, but when you got this core group of players and you got Brad Holmes running the ship with Dan Campbell, it's a formula for success. I expect this football team again in 2024 to have double-digit wins, to play at a high level, to compete against the best. They're going to play a first-place schedule, and I think that when you look at this football team, the interesting part is to now kind of look at how is Brad Holmes going to retool this roster. And I think it's going to be interesting to see based on what he said. Does it mean that a lot of the free agents are going to come back? Does that mean calculated risk in letting some guys go? The Brad Holmes did say, look, we're a draft and develop team and we're going to sign our own, which leads me to believe that a lot of the salary cap that they have, the $60 million, is going to go towards signing their own players. And it's going to be interesting to see when he said, the comment that really got everybody interested from his talk was, trust me, it's going to look different than maybe what you think. Trust in the process. Don't get spooked by Broder and his hot takes. Just trust the process and allow everything to come. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how he puts together this roster again to make that push. And absolutely, this is the 2024 is the year you got to aim to win it all.
And John, speaking of those core players and the concept of Brad taking care of his own, maybe pumping money into those players currently on the roster to reach these goals, to get back to the Super Bowl. There's a man who's been in the news this week, especially, named Amon-Ra St. Brown. There's been some comparisons to other NFC North wide receivers, but what I first want to ask you about, is he a $20 million a year guy? Is he a $30 million? Where do you view Amon-Ra St. Brown in terms of what Brad Holmes should be doing next?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to reward a guy that is amongst really, you look at it and you say, wow, who embodies what the Lions are about? And that's Amon-Ra St. Brown. Dan Campbell said it repeatedly. I don't have to do anything. I can trust that he's going to show up, work hard, take the us against the world mentality. You saw in the papers that Tyreek Hill and everybody's looking at that and say, oh, yeah, you got to pay Amon-Ra St. Brown. Of course, he's worth every single penny that he's going to command. Arguably the best offensive player and the most consistent and reliable on this football team. And you just see this year, it was great. After training camp, I walked up to him, had a chance to spend a couple minutes with him, and I said, man, the thing positive I can say about you is you make this game look easy. And by saying that, that indicates all the hard work,
yes,
all the extra time that's spent. I told him, and he said, yeah, thank you. I definitely, and he definitely has the respect for the game. Where is it do you see where a guy, when he drops the football, it makes news? That's the kind of standard that he holds for himself. And now that he's got his eyes open and the first taste of success in the NFL playoffs, Brad Holmes is going to take care of his guy. And he's amongst the top 5 NFC wide receivers in the conference and in the division. So you take care of your own, you make sure he's happy, and whatever number he asks for, you pay it, because he's the guy that's going to make this offense move forward again in 24.
Hey, and he was rewarded in kind with a first-team All-Pro appearance, which was certainly more than deserved. So I want to ask you to put on your personal GM cap right now. If you are running the Detroit Lions, which you're not, I think we're all happy that Brad Holmes is, and none of us are. Who is the free agent that you would prioritize the Lions bringing back the most this offseason?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I've been spending the last couple of days kind of paying attention to and trying to look at when Brad Holmes says, look, okay, we're not going to be that aggressive in free agency. We're going to take care of our own, maybe not have as many big splashes. So that indicates a lot of their own guys are going to be taken care of. So obviously the free agents that you're looking at are obviously, you look at Jonah Jackson, Graham Glasgow, C.D. Deuce. And so I say, okay, when he says, don't get spooked by what we're doing, I think that indicates maybe a popular player is not going to be brought back. Maybe even the likes. And the two guys I think that maybe are not being talked about that maybe are going to be let go, I think they move on from Josh Reynolds and Graham Glasgow and prioritize bringing back Jonah Jackson. And here's why. Jonah Jackson is key in the run game. You realize that when he was there and healthy, he was a guy that made that offensive line really stout as well. Look, Graham Glasgow is above the age of 30 and wants more money. Now, in the NFL, I know these stories of guys that are consistent, hometown guys, went to Michigan, but the proper way to build is to go younger in the offensive line. So I would think maybe a surprise candidate not to be brought back could be Graham Glasgow. And I think that Josh Reynolds, when you look at it, you could say, you know what, if you're going to start to allocate big dollars to St. Brown and the likes of those that you want to bring back in Jared Goff, maybe you look at moving on from Josh Reynolds as well, because you have a young guy in the waiting that you drafted in Antoine Green. So I think the player that you prioritize is Jonah Jackson, and maybe he ends up being on the roster when many people think that he's going to be gone.
It's an interesting thought. I'm going to look into that more too. I was just thinking maybe because of Graham Glasgow's versatility and maybe the need or the ask for less money that he might be the guy, but there's no doubt that when Jonah Jackson's healthy, that run offense especially is elite.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think this offensive line proved what they're capable of, but you got younger cats you can draft as well, and you recognize too that sometimes you're going to make some tough decisions. And I think that when you got guys in the wings waiting, you got to see what they got. Kobe Sorsdahl is there. You got Coyote Awosika that can do some things. The draft is still there. You could look to free agency. So I think that, remember, Graham Glasgow wants more money. He wants more than the $4.5 million that he made this year because of the versatility that he's got.
True.
But that age, I just think that you recognize you can get better in that position if you go younger and you find the right individual. I don't think you have to retool the offensive line, but you got to make some calculated risks. So I do think that a player or two that are popular might not come back. And you know what? Another player they should prioritize that many people are thinking should be gone is CD Deuce. That man needs to be back on this team. And I think when Brad Holmes says we are doing things for sustainability, if you want to sustain that defense in the play of the safeties, CD Deuce brings the swagger. And I know the last image we have is him getting knocked down and not tackling well, but you got to remember, he came back at maybe 80% because of his injury. I think a healthy CD Deuce with Kirby Joseph and Ifeatu Melifonwu makes this defense opportunistic, especially if you're retooling, getting one or two new cornerbacks. I think CD Deuce is back on the Lions roster.
Yes, Sam.
Forgive me, John, if I'm about to break out in hives over hearing that C.J. Gardner-Johnson you think he might come back, and we're losing Graham Glasgow and Josh Reynolds. That's
the imperfect storm, huh, Sam?
I mean, I get it with the whole Jonah Jackson prioritizing him. I get that, but yes to CD. I'm not calling him that. Yes to C.J. Gardner-Johnson, no to Josh Reynolds, and no to Graham Glasgow. I mean, come on. I can't, John. I know that I'm being ganged up on in here, and that's fine, but come on.
Look, what would be the reason why you wouldn't want one of the top safeties in the NFL who can secure interceptions? He got an interception in the postseason. He's got swagger. Look, I know that he talks a big game, and he did the wave thing, but at the same time, you got to realize that you didn't get to see the full CD Deuce experience. Broder got to talk to him. I've gotten a chance to talk to him, even though he wants to shoo me away because I'm going to ask him some point-blank questions or questions that maybe he doesn't want to answer. But at the same time, I don't look at how he acts in the locker room or, some of the antics on the field. I look at what he can do for Aaron Glenn's defense, and I see a guy that can easily get 6 interceptions or more in 2024. And I think that, you need a guy on that roster sometimes to talk a little junk to get the guys fired up. You don't think him talking to some junk to Amon-Ra St. Brown makes him a little bit more apt to fire it up in practice? You need guys like that. Not everybody can be a choir boy, and I just look at his productivity. Does his productivity match what you pay him? If you can get him again for the same price or maybe just a little bit less with some incentives, you bring that guy back. He's got talent, and he can teach the young cats even more about taking that next step. Look, the antics and things like that, I know people are not going to like, but your football team gets worse if you lose CD Deuce.
Yeah. Hey, John, you know what? I saw Chef's Talk. Shout out to Chef's Talk as well in the chat. The chat has been on fire. They always love when you're on because you bring the knowledge, bro. But he said he's not afraid or scared of this Detroit Lions 2024 schedule at all, man. And when I look at that schedule and we talk about the steps forward that we want to see the Detroit Lions take, not just in play, but also mentality up here and everything we hear from them. How are you feeling about their chances next season, kind of repeating some of the success they had this year during the regular season?
Oh, no doubt. You look at this football team, and they got a taste of what glory looks like right there, 1/2 away from the Super Bowl. Now, you look at it and you say, well, why? You're playing a lot of solid teams with a lot of solid weapons. This football season, you're going to play the likes of Houston and the Packers, who are retooled. The division is going to be much tougher. No, I don't think you should be scared of it, but you got to recognize some of the caliber teams that you're going to play are going to be really. You look at it and you say, okay, now the Lions are not going to fly under the radar anymore. You're going to get every team's best shot, knowing that the Lions talk a big game and they now are a football team that's on the radar. Everybody's going to be giving their best, and you're going to have a situation in which you got to raise your level. And Dan Campbell said it's going to take twice as much effort. So, no, you shouldn't be scared of the schedule. But would I expect 12 wins? No. I would expect maybe 10, 11 wins. And I think you look at it and you say you're not going to have as many of the same players back on this roster. You could have a couple, usually every offseason you get 30% turnover. But the opportunity with this offense, the thing that everyone's going to pay attention to is how do they improve this defense? and the one or two cornerbacks that they add to this roster are going to be key, because every team that's made a deep run has had a top 10 defense in the past couple years. And you look at the two teams that are playing in the big game on Sunday, they got top 10 defenses. The Lions finished, I think, around 18th or 19th. So you got to upgrade that defense, because as it stands now, that's not a championship caliber defense, and you got to do some work. I tried to ask Brad Holmes, what area do you need to improve? I should have been more specific in my question. Luckily for me, he didn't call me out. I think I'm one of his favorites. I'm one of his favorites. He didn't call me out, but I think you got to improve the defense and focus on that to get to the next level.
All right, John, speaking of that defense, although I hope when we speak with you next week or in 2 weeks, maybe there's some new moves that the Lions have made, or we learned a little bit more about their play and their strategy. But looking back on the 2023 season, we're about to have this discussion in the next segment, but what would you grade edge rusher, defensive lineman Aidan Hutchinson? What would you give him for the 2023 season?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, it's tough because there's a couple components here. His regular season, double-digit sacks. Regular season, you give him an A-. The part that stunk was he had no impact in the NFC Championship game. So I look at it and I say, man, Nick Bosa was there making it life miserable for Jared Goff. He had more impact. The big players, the impact players for the 49ers, stepped it up a little bit more in the second half. So I look at it and I say, for Aidan Hutchinson, I know he says that he definitely has been hearing the noise about the sack drought that he had. But really, when you look at it in totality, he does need a little bit of help on the opposite side, with James Houston being hurt all year, not having the other help that you would need to be as consistent as you would want. But when you still record 11.5 sacks and you make an impact to help this football team win, he gets an A. And I think that he's going to move forward, and he's going to be somebody that is going to be an individual that is going to be a cornerstone. And you need Aidan Hutchinson to take that next jump to be consistent a little bit more throughout the season. But bottom line, you look at it, this is one of your cornerstone players, and I know the noise gets hot regarding the lack of sacks and the sack drought, but he had such a big impact on this football team in practice. You don't think that Penei Sewell, the big reason why he only gave up like 1 sack this year was because he's battling Aidan Hutchinson day in, day out? He's got a lot of attributes that you would like for a football player. And so for me, yeah, I understand the postseason and the ending wasn't as great, but anything less than an A- or an A, and I think you're being a little bit biased.
Man, that's a great answer. And John, just one more question from me. It's actually from Darrell Slaughter in the chat. He said, do they bring Emmanuel Moseley back?
Oh, okay. Here's where you when you say put on your GM hat. Look, what's the knock on Brad Holmes and some of the guys he's brought in free agency? Look, he's a great drafter. And Brad, look, don't take offense. Don't call me out. Make sure you call out Broder. Broder has the hot takes. Remember that. Don't call me out.
Bring it.
His free agent that he's brought in hasn't had the great impact that you would like. CD Deuce gets hurt. Emmanuel Moseley gets hurt. So a guy with not only 1, but 2 significant leg injuries, I can't allocate dollars for that. I'm sorry. You got to get individuals from the draft or in free agency that are healthy. And I know you can't predict injuries, but I'm a guy that says, Levi Onwuzurike, one of his draft individuals that's kind of not been living up to where he was drafted. Guys with injury history, you just can't count on them in key moments. And I would say thank you, Emmanuel, for the time you spent, but we're moving elsewhere.
Man, that's it for me. You got any more questions?
No, John, thank you so much. Hey, great to see you here. You get to see you a couple rows in front in the media room, but always love having you on where we can really just shoot it for a couple minutes here.
Yes,
we appreciate it, Doc.
As always, man, it's good to see you, man.
Always great. Kool-Aid, look, I'll give you credit. When the fire's hot, you go right into it. You're doing the no man's work. I'm proud of you boys. Can you believe Troy Weaver blocked Killian Hayes on Twitter? What's this guy thinking? I look at Troy Weaver and I realize, man, it takes a lot of effort to move on from guys that average 10 points and bringing on guys that average 10 points. Great job, Troy, shuffling the deck. Hey, Kool-Aid, since it takes a committee to tell Monty Morris how to coach his team, tell him Jaden Ivey can ball. Put the ball in his hands, let him ball till they fall, and drop Killian Hayes like a bad habit, and we're gonna start having the talk.
Hey, let's do that,
this
man.
Might be Jaden Ivey's team, and Cade Cunningham might have to fall to the wayside.
Ooh,
Oh my God.
Okay.
Ooh, you know what? That's gonna be a conversation for later on in the week, man. We definitely
Get after. I want to hear your thoughts. I'm proud of you, boys.
Hey, proud of you,
Thank you,
brother.
John.
Hey, what's the all-time drop, Doc?
What the hell's that about?
I love that, brother. Thank you for joining the show, man. Have a blessed day.
Make
And
sure to check out Jock on the Sports Illustrated
Yeah.
NFL coverage. All Lions. Check out his Twitter, Detroit Sports Podcast, Detroit Podcast, at Detroit Podcast. Check him out. Doc is the man. Take it away, Kool-Aid.
Hey, definitely, man. Thank you for joining us. But we got to get into this next segment. It is Gradin Aidan Hutchinson. And chat, I need you guys to start putting your season grades in the chat for Aidan Hutchinson. We'll definitely get a poll up there, too, if we can do that.
Call
A, B,
in.
C, or other, and call in as well. Once again, that number is 313-552-6322. And we're going to get this... We're going to get these grades going, man. But first,
Let's do it.
we got to get a message in from Lady Jane's. Come to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience. Register to win a trip of your dreams and all expenses paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tourney. That's right. No expense spared for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It is wicked awesome.
Come to Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Savor the heart of home at Big Boy with our all-new down-home comfort dishes. Feast on home-style goodness with our Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl, veal parmigiana, and apple pie hotcakes. The down-home delight doesn't stop there. Potato pancakes are back. Dive into the richness of our perfectly crafted potatoes with our classic potato pancakes and our stuffed potato pancakes. Top off your meal with our new gingerbread shake, a seamless blend of creamy vanilla and sweet gingerbread flavors. Nothing beats the comforting taste of down-home cooking. Enjoy every bite, only at Big Boy.
Game is won in the trenches, and our big fellas don't mess around. The Woodward Heavyweights on Woodward Sports.
For over 60 years, Fairway Packing Co. has provided Michigan's finest restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef, Wagyu beef, and dry-aged beef. Experience the Fairway difference for yourself today. Visit the steak shop in Grosse Pointe Woods for grab-and-go steaks or order online at fairwaypacking.com.
Beef.
Gosh, the things that happen during the breaks, man. Let me get this chair right. But welcome back, man. What up, to Detroit?
Jeez.
It is Wake Up Woodward, man. It's always good when we're able to talk to the doc, man. He always brings entertainment. He brings information. And I always feel a little bit more Lions smart after a conversation with guys like him and my guy Broder over here, our Detroit Lions beat reporter and writer for Woodward Sports. But we have finals week, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's probably going to go a couple weeks, actually.
Yeah,
We just
Professor
call it finals
Kool-Aid
month.
classes in session, eh?
Yeah, I wish I brought my glasses and everything as well. But we got to talk about Aidan Hutchinson. I know for the first half of the season, there were a lot of people who were kind of mixed on the type of year they thought he was having. Obviously, the pressures were there, but people wanted to see the sack numbers. And I know that our good friend down there, my brother, Flannel, he fought the good fight all season long. And by the end of the season and his full body of work for this year, I thought that he had a pretty good season.
I thought he had a pretty great season.
A pretty great season. Yeah.
You don't have to think that.
No, I do.
Okay,
I
cool.
was trying to be more measured,
All
more
right,
in the
all
middle
right.
there. But you know what? We'll say a pretty great season. And Flannel, though, I need you to tell me why that is or why that isn't.
All right, so I'm going to need some time with this one because I dug deeper on this than I've ever dug into probably any stats in my life. And that's saying a lot when it comes to me. And I want all you guys in the chat who like to fight me about Aidan Hutchinson to just listen and have an open mind, because I think a lot of what is being regurgitated when it comes to Aidan Hutchinson, both on this network and other networks throughout the city, is a little bit unfair, and I'll tell you why. First off, and I'm going to start with just sacks alone. People treat him like he finished the season with 8 or something like that. I know he was stuck on 5.5 and 6.5 for a while, but he finished the year with 11.5, which is pretty damn good, which was tied for 12th in the entire NFL. And oh, by the way, if you would have been told before the season that Aidan Hutchinson would finish the year with double-digit sacks and have 2 against Matthew Stafford and 2 on Matthew Stafford in a playoff game that the Lions would win, people want to be building a statue of him right now. If they would have been told that before the season, they would have taken that a million times out of a million. But that is exactly what did happen, but yet people still complain. But it's not just that. There are other players throughout the league that people don't really question or anything like that, like Hassan Reddick, Chris Jones, Nick Bosa, and Aaron Donald. Aidan Hutchinson had more sacks this season than any of those players. He had 1 less than Montez Sweat, and Montez Sweat was a guy who everybody looked at as, oh my goodness, he transformed the Bears defense completely, which he did. He was phenomenal with the Bears. Aidan only had 1 less sack than him. And then there's a few guys that are considered universally better than Aidan Hutchinson, and right now they are. He only had 2.5 less than Micah Parsons, 2.5 less than Myles Garrett, and 3 less than Max Crosby. And out of all those players that I mentioned, Sweat, Parsons, Garrett, and Crosby, for whatever reason, and there's a variance of them, none of those 4 had 1 playoff sack. The Raiders didn't make the playoffs and the Bears didn't make the playoffs, so that cancels out Sweat and Crosby. I'm not saying it's their fault, but they never got the opportunity. But Garrett and Parsons, they both, by their standards, no-showed in their playoff game.
Facts.
The difference, though, is that, yeah, Aidan Hutchinson, he gets talked about all the time, and even by John Macaron, which I thought was completely unfair, but I didn't respond. By his standards, he absolutely no-showed in the NFC Championship game. I'll give you that. Yeah. I have never shied away from that. But what he did before was have 2 objectively excellent playoff games, particularly the Los Angeles Rams one. And I get told by the exact same fans that I'm too hard on this team when it comes to, I would say, still being a little bit bitter about the blown lead. You should just be grateful for the season that they had and the playoffs games that they won. Well, I would ask you, though, to have the same energy when it comes to Aidan Hutchinson. Be grateful for him being one of the driving forces in the regular season and for helping win those playoff games. Be the defensive MVP in both of those games. But it's not just that. I always hear about how, oh my God, Aidan Hutchinson was inconsistent. He should have done what he did the last 2 regular season games and the first 2 playoff games. He should have been doing that all season long. I'd like to see more consistency, which in that period he had 8 sacks in 4 games. I've said this a million times, though. No player in NFL history has ever or will ever have 2 sacks a game. If you get 2 sacks a game, you're the greatest defensive player who ever played in the NFL. You are the greatest football player who ever played in the NFL. And I always hear another thing, too, that 15 sacks. I wanted to see 15 sacks. I want to see him dominate and get 15 sacks. Do people realize how hard it is to get 15 sacks? Did you know that only 5 players this season had 15 sacks? I'll name them. TJ Watt, Trey Hendrickson, Josh Allen, Khalil Mack, and Danielle Hunter. And this leads me to another factor when it comes to Aidan. He would just finish off his 2nd season. The only one of those 5 guys who I just mentioned to have 15 sacks or more in their 2nd year was Khalil Mack. And oh, by the way, Khalil Mack could retire right now, and in 5 years he will have a gold jacket in Canton, Ohio. And furthermore, this whole 15 sacks thing, let me just dive a little bit deeper into that. TJ Watt, another one. If he retired today, despite his relatively short career, he won't. But if he did, he would have a gold jacket in Canton, Ohio in 5 years on first ballot. He has only had 15 sacks in a season 3 times in 7 years. Trey Hendrickson did it once in 7 years, which was this year. Josh Allen has done it once in 5 seasons, which is this year. Khalil Mack, twice in 10 seasons, and Danielle Hunter once in 8 seasons. And let me give you this too, and this might surprise you, but I think it gives some perspective as to why I think people are being way too unfair when it comes to Aidan Hutchinson.
Talk to me about it, man.
Max Crosby, a guy who nobody questions, and nor should we. Max Crosby is elite. He is one of the best defensive players in all of NFL football.
You're just setting the standard for us, right?
Max Crosby in 5 seasons has never once recorded 15 sacks. Micah Parsons, a guy who in his first 2 years, was runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year both seasons, and then followed it up with another phenomenal year. In 3 seasons, has never once had a 15-sack season. Julius Peppers, an all-time great defensive end, never once had a 15-sack season in 17 years.
I didn't know that. That surprises me.
Terrell Suggs, at one time won Defensive Player of the Year, is going to be a Hall of Famer, never once had a 15-sack season. Joey Bosa has never had a 15-sack season. And oh, by the way, I'm going to go over some other big names. Nick Bosa has done it twice in 5 seasons. Myles Garrett has done it twice in 7 seasons. Aaron Donald, I know they play different positions, but everybody knows that one of the things that makes Aaron Donald such an all-time great player is his sacks, because in his best year, he had 20 and a half. Aaron Donald, one of the greatest defensive players to ever play NFL football, and in my mind, the best, had 15 or more sacks once in 10 seasons. J.J. Watt, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, only did it 4 times in 12 seasons. Reggie White, one of the all-time greatest defensive players, he did it 5 times in 15 seasons. And I'm talking about had 15 sacks. Bruce Smith, the all-time leading sack artist in the entire NFL. He has 200. He had 15 or more sacks in a season twice in 19 years. And oh, by the way, I didn't even mention this name. This is the name that people might be surprised about, but I think this is the name that really illustrates how hard getting 15 sacks in a year is. Lawrence Taylor. You talk to some of the old heads, you talk to some football fans right now. He is universally considered the greatest pass rusher of all time, the greatest game wrecker of all time, one of the scariest players for quarterbacks of all time. He basically invented the left tackle position. I know he didn't invent it, but he made it so that it was more important and more prioritized. Lawrence Taylor only had 15 sacks or more in a season 3 times. So I bring all of this up to illustrate that Aidan Hutchinson having 11 and a half, there is nothing that was missing from his repertoire. That is perfectly fine. In fact, that is more than elite. And he is the least of the Lions' problems. And for all the people who are just complaining and bellyaching about his lack of sacks, or even about that he had a little bit of a drought during the middle of the year, it is really, really hard to get 15 sacks. It's not something that just grows on trees. It's not something that even the best players in the NFL get every single year. But here's the thing, too, and I don't mean to be too long-winded. Well, actually, I do. I don't care, because I wanted to get this information out. One of the things that I always mentioned at some points during the year was that, oh, yeah, his sacks are down, but everybody knows that that does not even tell the whole story with Aidan Hutchinson. And I just mentioned why his sack total is actually perfectly fine and very good and stacks up really well with some of the best of all time. Aidan Hutchinson was tied for 3rd in the NFL in quarterback hits with 33. The only players with more were TJ Watt and Nick Bosa. He was tied with Micah Parsons, Josh Allen, and Justin Matabuke. And oh, by the way, Aidan had more than Myles Garrett, Chris Jones, Montez Sweat, Trey Hendrickson, Aaron Donald, Hassan Reddick, Khalil Mack, and Danielle Hunter. But that doesn't even tell the whole story, because that shows how he is in relative to the league. Aidan Hutchinson, his value to this Detroit Lions team is he is the best defensive player on the team. He was the only consistent pass rush throughout the season on the team. And here's the evidence for that. Aidan had 11 and a half sacks this year. Second on the team was Aleem McNeil with 5. Aidan had 14 tackles for loss this year. Second on the team was 7, tied with Alex Anzalone and Brian Branch. Aidan had 33 quarterback hits. Second on the team was Alex Anzalone with 12. Aidan had 3 forced fumbles. Second on the team was a bunch of players with 1. So for those reasons, which I hope that you took this in and digested it and at least learned it and at least considered it, Aidan Hutchinson 100% deserves a big fat A for this season, and I don't want to listen to anybody say otherwise. It's as obvious as the sky is green, and more people need to learn to appreciate what he does instead of bellyaching for what you perceive that he doesn't do.
Ooh. Is that a mic drop?
Bars.
Is that a mic drop?
I think your mic was muted. Could you just run through that
Get
one
it
more
off your
time?
chest, man.
I think we should go to break and then rehash this.
Yeah. Hey, did you know what? Yeah, when we get back, everybody will go around the room. We'll get everybody's grades for Aidan Hutchinson. And definitely, you guys, make sure you call in so you can give your grade, your 2023 season grade for Aidan Hutchinson. That number is 313-552-6322. Whether you think you agree or you disagree with Sam, you guys got to definitely let him know what you think as well. But first, I know you guys got football on the brain. It's been pretty much a perfect season. Obviously, just shy of perfect for the Lions, but it was still pretty awesome. And fall is also a perfect time to shop your home and auto insurance. Shop it like a pro with Swiss Insurance. They cover Woodward Sports Network, and they should be covering you too. Ask for Mark at Swiss Insurance today at swissins.com or call 248-800-4177. Again, that is 248-800-4177.
Hi, my diamonds. It's Crystal with an X. You want to get hot and perfect like me? Here's my super easy routine. Drink at least a gallon of water before you wake up. Attach a weight to everything in your house. Hello? Sell your car and just sprint everywhere. Scream when you exhale.
Don't follow Crystal with an X. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join now for just $10 a month and cancel anytime.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Have you ever wondered where all the finest restaurants get their steaks? It's Fairway Packing Company, providing Michigan restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef for over 60 years. But now you can buy these cuts of meat for yourself at the Steak Shop by Fairway Packing Company. Prime porterhouse, A5 Japanese New York strip steak, dry aged Wagyu beef tomahawk. Delicious. Get to the Steak Shop today. Enjoy fine wine, have a private party, and get the finest cuts of meat anywhere. The Steak Shop on Mack Avenue in Grosse Pointe Woods, or order online, fairwaypacking.com.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Are you tired of wearing the same old Detroit sports merch? It's a new era in sports wearables, new designs, amazing apparel, and the ultimate swag. Check out Woodward Sports' latest gear at woodwardsports.com and click shop. Hoodies, tees, and the hats that are guaranteed to turn heads. Get the latest designs today at woodwardsports.com and click shop.
What up, though, Detroit, and welcome back. Wake up, Woodward.
Wake up!
Finals week, and we are grading Aidan Hutchinson's 2023 season. And Sam has already kind of laid out his body of work.
I love it.
Yeah, you know what? Broder,
yes.
I'm going to go to you first.
Yes.
We're
grading Aidan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree with just about everything Flannel said. I'm gonna position it in a little different way. And he talked about the sacks on Stafford in the playoffs. So looking at that game, basically my point, I'm giving Aidan Hutchinson an A-, and it probably was an A season. I maybe just hold him to a little higher expectation. I just wanted a little more. But that's not because he didn't have a great season. That's not because he didn't impact winning, because he definitely did. In that playoff game when he sacked Stafford 2 times, he got the stats. He got the 2 sacks. And this wasn't the point Sam was trying to make. Those are two good sacks. But the difference he made in that game was the pressures. It was how much he was in Matthew Stafford's face. It was QB hits. Stafford looked like he could barely walk at the end of that game. That's because Aidan Hutchinson was in his face all game long. So those pressures in that game should tell you how much his pressures throughout the season, which were the stat that people seem to not really care about. We're focusing on the stats, but he was making that impact in just about every game. And when you have someone like him commanding double, triple teams, although he's not getting home, and although anyone else wasn't getting home for sacks, this was one of the top run-defending defenses in the entire NFL. That definitely has something to do with it. Aidan Hutchinson did have a very, very, very good season. It wasn't 15 sacks. It wasn't 20 sacks. But it was an A- to me.
You know what? That's my grade as well. I was going to go A- for Aidan Hutchinson. I thought that the first half of the season is what kind of pulls the grade down just a little bit for me. But when we talk about this defense and we talk about the pressures, there's also quarterback hits. There's things that he's doing, even if he's not getting the sack, that like you alluded to. Matthew Stafford was beat up by the end of that game.
Beat up.
Whether they were getting the sack or not, he was beat up. And there were a lot of games this season where the Detroit Lions were getting after the quarterback, and Aidan Hutchinson was a big part of the reason why either getting the pressure and getting a QB hit or getting the pressure and somebody else getting that QB hit. He was a big part of the reason why that was happening. And a lot of these quarterbacks down the stretch, they started to look a little more uncharacteristic. Their throws started to flail just a little bit. Their passes started to be a little less accurate. They started to kind of hear the footsteps and kind of looking around and things of that nature. Hopefully they can harass Jordan Love a little bit more next season.
Yes.
They got to do that. But for me, A- for Aidan Hutchinson. KG, man, what do you think?
What up? So he had a great year. I'm not saying that by any means. I would give him a B+. And, you know, we all know he needs help. That's clear and obvious. But you can't go a whole month in a season without any sort of sacks. And I guess, like you said, Broder, it's my expectation of him. Not saying he had a bad year. 11 and a half is really good, but we have to be real. The last month and going into the playoffs essentially saved his season from having a way worse grade, in my opinion. I have seen improvements from him this year in terms of one-on-ones and stuff of that nature, but for as much as he gets in the backfield, and I'm not one of them people that thinks that pressures are a useless stat, but I'm also of the mindset that you got to get home eventually.
Yeah.
And for as many pressures and QB hits as he gets, he should have way more sacks in the total. At least that's my way of thinking.
Yeah.
But you know, he's really good. I just need him to take the next step to being elite. He needs to do better in terms of like I said, he's improved, but he's still not perfect at one-on-ones, and he has to be better at beating double coverages because he's going to see that more times than not. If you're an elite level player, you will find ways to overcome these things. So he had a good year, man. I'm not putting that past him at all. That's why I got him at a B+, but I just need to see a few more things improve before I'm ready to give him that A grade.
Yeah.
So that's just me.
And I'm not saying that because I appreciated what you said, KG, about how like you're not completely dismissing pressures or anything like that. But something that I've seen throughout the chat throughout this season, and it's made me upset, and I've never really, I don't know if I've articulated it enough on the show, is that people come in the chat and say like pressures that result in big plays for the offense are completely useless, or even hits that result in big plays for the offense are completely useless. But they're coming at it in a way that puts all of the blame on Aidan Hutchinson. Here's the reality. Were there some times where Aidan maybe ran at the quarterback a little bit reckless and probably should have gotten him down or hit him and he didn't? Sure, that happened a couple of times. But there's also going to be some times where the offense just makes a play, where the quarterback gets rid of the ball quickly, where Aidan is doing everything that he can, but there's nowhere for the quarterback to be flushed to because nobody else is getting any pressure. That's all I'm saying is if he doesn't always get home, it's definitely not always his fault because as we always say, the guys playing on the offensive side of the ball, the Lions faced a lot of good quarterbacks, a lot of good offenses, and sometimes they just make plays.
That's true.
Yeah, and you know what? But one thing that I am kind of glad that you kind of pondered up in my mind is this. he's not a perfect player.
No.
We do want to see these guys improve, and I do believe his technique can be a little bit more tight. I believe his path to the quarterback can be a little bit more direct.
He still over pursues a lot for a second-year player, you know.
Yep. And when we're talking about grading a player, even if there's an A- or a B+, there's always going to be something that we think they can do a little bit better. And I'm hoping that those are some things that when he sits down this offseason and he looks at film, because it's a little bit difficult sometimes in season to change up kind of the way that you play the game.
Yeah.
It can be a little bit more difficult to just go and say, you know what, this technique that's kind of worked for me last season, we're just going to change that mid-season. But as you kind of look at film, as you're working out, and maybe his workout is even inspired a little bit more to kind of get a better advantage at getting a beeline to the quarterback. J. John Beeline, shout out to him. And got to, man. It's Michigan on Michigan, right? That's what I'm hoping to see out of him, honestly. Like you said, the over pursuit, I'm hoping that type of stuff begins to become less and less and less. But, JB, man, what's your grade for Mr. Aidan Hutchinson?
You know what? I don't think you can go wrong with either giving him a B+ or A-. I think anything lower than that, then that's just ridiculous. But for me, I'm going to go A-. I credit everything that you guys have said a lot more. Like, Sam, yes, it is extremely hard to sit here and get 15+ sacks in the season. Like, it is extremely difficult. But also at the same time, yes, he does need to develop his skill sets a little bit more. And hopefully he does take the time this offseason to figure out what exactly works best for him at getting to these quarterbacks. I'm not dismissing QB hits or anything like that, because definitely when he's out there, QBs are looking for him. They're spotting him. They're eyeing him up. And if they take too much time and worrying about him, you're not going to be worried about someone else that's going to come up and sack you, like an Aleem McNeil or someone else on that side. But still, at the same time, he needs to sit here and develop himself a little bit more to figure out what it is that makes him so special. The spin move, I'm telling you right now, next season, I enjoy it, but it's starting to get a little bit old. I need something new out of this guy to sit here and get to these quarterbacks. But still, he had an amazing season, so I'm still giving him an A-.
JB Smooth, you're not a fan of the spin move, huh?
No, I'm a fan of the spin move, but I'm just saying right now, like, it's getting a little old. It's getting a little tired. Like, you kind of see it coming every single time, and it's like, hey, you need something else to sit here and attack and keep this defense guessing.
Yeah, I think that's the adjustment that a lot of these younger players, we see it across really all of the younger players here in Detroit sports. How do you adjust when the game plan is now accounting for you, when the game plan is scheming against you? You know, he's getting more doubles, he's getting more chips and things of that nature his way. He has to find a way to improve upon that and continue to be on this trend towards elite player, elite pass rusher, elite defensive end. But Sam, how you feeling about Aidan Hutchinson this season, man? Am I safe to assume his grade is an A?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely an A. And for the record, I'm seeing some stuff in the chat, and I'm hearing even from everyone in the room comment on how he needs to improve some things. And the context of what I said is not that he doesn't need to improve; it's that he's a second-year player who put up those kind of numbers. That's more amazing, I think, than it's given credit for.
Yeah.
And I think that he is going to get better. That you're going to be seeing a guy who contends for Defensive Player of the Year a couple of times within the next 5 to 10 years. It's just that I don't want people to get into the mode of almost like he's got to be Defensive Player of the Year front runner in year 2, or else like something was left on the table. That's what I don't like, and I think that line of thinking is something that's been a little bit pervasive throughout this chat. And hell, I think even with in the room a little bit, KG.
I'll hold that.
Oh man, but look, I know we got some callers on the line as well that they want to give their Aidan Hutchinson grades and either tell us why we're right or we're wrong.
All right, so we got Eduardo on the line. Eduardo, what up, though?
Good morning, guys.
Hey, good morning, man. How you doing today? Yes, sir.
I'm good. Listen, so is it okay if I don't talk about Hutch? I just have something else I wanted to speak about.
Of course, let it fly.
Definitely. It's open lines.
So I just wanted to put some light into the whole first place schedule thing.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, it's 3 games. It's 3-game difference. The only games that we don't play that our division doesn't play either is Tampa, Buffalo, and Dallas. And technically speaking, Green Bay has a tougher strength of schedule than us. So I just want to put this light out there that, like, we shouldn't be afraid of a first-place schedule. Green Bay and everybody else in our division still has to play San Francisco. They still have to play Houston. You know what I mean? They still have to play the Rams. Like, it's a 3-game difference, and most of those games are, like, a 1-win difference. Like, for example, Buffalo ended with, like, I believe 12 wins. Miami ended with 11. Green Bay faces Miami, you know? So I just wanted to put my opinion on the, on the first place schedule, that it's not really that big of a difference. On top of that, last year on our second place schedule, we went 0-3. It didn't really affect us. And then I just want to point out that I really think the Lions should try to target Bryce Huff from the New York Jets. All season long, all we wanted was someone that can win their one-on-one to get to the quarterback. And I watched a couple of Jets games, and he's not the best pass rusher on their team. Obviously, they got Quentin Williams, and he consistently gets one-on-ones, and he consistently wins his one-on-one. And then just my final thing I want to bring up is I've been talking to some people in the chat. Steve Wiles, shout out to him. I really think the move should be Jackson Powers Johnson at 29 wherever. The guy is the best center / guard in the draft. Hasn't allowed a single sack all year, I'm pretty sure. And I really think if we don't re-sign Glasgow or Jonah, I'm a big fan of Jonah. I think that Powers should be the move. And then when Ragnar retires, he can take over. And then just one last thing for Sam. I got a stat for you. Listen, Parsons has 4 playoff games, only 1 sack. Hutch has 3 playoff games, 3 sacks. That's all I have to say. Have a good morning, guys.
Hey, I like that one. And I know sometimes in this city I still like Micah Parsons as a player, but the point is that in 2021 and 2023, Parsons no-showed in the playoffs by his standards, and he's only had 1 sack in his playoff career. So that gives some context for the people who are blaming Hutch too much for the NFC Championship game performance. So thank you, Eduardo. You're the man.
And great call, Eduardo. I'll hit your points off real quick. We're going to fire through this. In terms of the schedule, I'm actually with you 100%. The first 2 things that I noticed, there are only 3 games outdoors. That's Chicago, Green Bay, and I believe San Francisco. There's a third game that's slipping my mind. It might be San Francisco. But 3 games outdoors, so they get to play almost the entire 2024 season in a dome. You talked about Bryce Huff. I'm with you there. You need a guy, and I haven't fully set that this is the guy. If you're going to go pay a little bit of money, he's not going to be a huge contract, but just for what you said, he's a guy that can win one-on-one, put him on the other side of Hutch, get some more pressure from a guy like Bryce Huff. I'm with you there. And then I'm with you again, too, on Oregon center / interior offensive lineman, Jackson Powers Johnson. This is one of the best offensive linemen in the draft, and he's I don't want to say a Graham Glasgow type. He's versatile like Graham Glasgow. He's a stud center, and he can be your replacement to Frank Ragnow, whether he retires this year, next year, or the year after. He can also play left or right guard, which he did at Oregon. I believe you're right. He didn't give up an entire sack in 3 seasons as a starter. Jackson Powers Johnson, if he falls to 29, Brett Holmes should be snagging him so quick. So quick. He may be even a guy that you want to trade up for. If you're that in on an offensive lineman to trade up, I don't know if they're going to do that, but Brad Holmes will go get his guy. Oh yeah, if it's him. Shoot,
that's a bar. Brad Holmes will go get his guy.
Yeah,
always.
KG, we got anybody else?
We got a couple more callers. We got the homie Devin from Inkster. What up,
Mr.
Devin?
Energy himself.
Yes, welcome to Wake Up Woodward.
Whoa, yo, what up, fellas?
What up, Devin?
Good,
what up,
guys?
bro?
What's good? What up? Hey, so my grade for Aidan Hutchinson. Flannel, I know it's your first day back. I'm gonna trigger you a little bit. I gotta give that man a D. A D for fucking defense, man. That man was by far our fucking star. You go. Oh, the chat thought I was gonna go a whole nother way and make Flannel freak the fuck out. No, I'm on the same damn page as him. I get Hutchinson.
You scared me for a little bit there, Devin. You scared me there for a little bit,
what,
man. I said you scared me there for a little bit. I was about to say, not the pride
of
Easton,
bro.
no.
He's like, nah. I get we got to give him the Guardian Alarm kind of player of the year. Because honestly, man, it's not even just about the sacks and about the pressures that Aidan Hutchinson has put in on the team. It's about what he brings to the team and what he makes everybody around him look better. Because, like, let's be honest, if we didn't have Aidan Hutchinson on our team, we wouldn't have an X factor on Madden that wasn't on our defensive factor. We wouldn't have all these other players because these players don't show up as much as Aidan Hutchinson does. So when it comes to detrimental of the security of our team, the face of our defense is Aidan. You can't look across the board and say, oh, C.J. Gardner is our face of our defense. No, sorry. I'm going to disagree with that. I'm going to beyond disagree with that. But when you look at the stars and you look at who this defense is built around, it's Aidan Hutchinson. So giving him a grade, I give him a B+. The reason why I give him a B+ is because you just, as Neil Rule says, I expect more. I expect more than from your team. And it's not the fact that I expect more out of him. It's just the fact that I expect more out of the coaching to get him, to make him have the success that he has. And with Aaron Glenn working with a fucking D-rated class team and having an A+ player on his team and trying to work around him, I give him the credit for what he does and what he positions Hutch to try to get that success. Yes, we saw the scheme had to get switched up after the Broncos games, and we started to see Hutch get more unleashed. But I think it comes down to more of the coaching than him overall as a player, because we see him, he's a workhorse, and no matter what play, he doesn't take plays off. And to have that, and you go along with the Nick Bosa's that took plays off. Literally, he took like the whole first half off in the NFC game, and all of a sudden he just came back and was like, yeah, no, I'm going to play now. But when you have players that work, and he's playing majority of every damn snap, I can't hear anybody else in the NFL that could disagree with Flannel when it comes to Aidan Hutchinson, because he doesn't take plays off. He's playing majority of those snaps. So when you have these players that's going off for 16 fucking sacks, 15 sacks, 10 sacks all throughout the year, they have help. They're not playing every fucking down, and they have every different other excuse that we don't have on our side. So to give Aidan Hutchinson that B, I just want to see more. And it's not from him. I just want to see more from our defense to allow him to break out and be that player that we want him to be. Because at the end of the day, shit, Chicago hate on us. We saw what the radio hosts say. We're going to move on to him. He's a nothing burger. He's not going to do anything. And all of a sudden, he breaks out right after that fucking game, and you hear crickets. You hear crickets throughout the NFL. You hear crickets throughout all these analysts. Like, hey, do you know what changed in the scheme? No, we schemed him better. We made him more available. He was already available enough to us, but now we put him in position to be successful. And I think if we start off next year doing that same thing that we did for the last 8 games, Hutch will be on a fucking tear. And, like, no one will ever even talk about pressures.
For real, man. Devin, you're spot on there, Devin, and we really appreciate you calling. Hutch is one of those guys, like Devin was saying, if you get someone alongside him, if you can build up this defense, both the secondary and that defensive line, Hutch, the dude is going to go on a tear.
Yeah, and I like the point that he brought up as well of really raising the standard for Hutchinson. You know, there's always got to be a next level. There can't be ever a plateau, especially with your elite players. I want to see this team continue to raise the level, raise the standard, raise the ceiling exactly of where he can be. Hey, if you have a good season, have a great season the next year. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to see, man.
Yeah.
But hey, look, if we have some callers on the phone, please sit tight. We're going to try and get to all of the callers. We're also going to have a little bit of Super Bowl talk as well. I need to know if you guys are actually watching the Super Bowl or if you're still on a kind of a diet from the NFL right now after what happened to our Detroit Lions.
Give me football.
Give you football?
Give me football.
Well, hey, let us know in the chats, too. What do you have to tell us about?
I'll tell you about Big Boy, because wintertime in Detroit is always better with comfort foods from Big Boy. You can try the veal parmigiana or the new Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl. How about breakfast? The stuffed potato pancakes are back. You got the classic, the lumberjack, or the Santa Fe Garden. Also, they got new apple pie hotcakes that are too good to miss. And if you want to top it off with something sweet, they got the gingerbread shake for dessert. So make sure to stop by your local Big Boy today.
Savor the heart of home at Big Boy with our all-new down-home comfort dishes. Feast on homestyle goodness with our Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl, veal parmigiana, and apple pie hotcakes. The down-home delight doesn't stop there. Potato pancakes are back. Dive into the richness of our perfectly crafted potatoes with our classic potato pancakes and our stuffed potato pancakes. Top off your meal with our new gingerbread shake, a seamless blend of creamy vanilla and sweet gingerbread flavors. Nothing beats the comforting taste of down-home cooking. Enjoy every bite, only at Big Boy.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Thank you to all the fans for making Woodward Sports your #1 online destination for Detroit sports. We promise not to drop the ball.
Since 1996, Feldman Automotive has been driven to provide a fast, first-class car buying experience called the Feldman Advantage. They have over 18 locations, so there's got to be a dealership in your backyard somewhere. Just visit feldmanauto.com to find that location nearest you and check out Woodward Sports there every other Monday morning at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. It's what makes Feldman Chevrolet Detroit's ¡1 Chevy dealer.
Hey, yo, welcome back to Wake Up Woodward. Hey, you know what, man? They were telling me whenever I wear this, I got to bring in the turnover buffs too, man, and just kind of give the fit its proper due. Yeah. I think I might do that next time.
So you're saying you want the Lions to draft Mikey Sanders still?
Oh, you know what? Give me any of those guys from the defensive backfield, man.
I wish we're signing all these future players. You know, the wide receiver Traquan Smith yesterday. I wish you could sign Will Johnson to a futures contract right out of the University of Michigan. Yep. Say, we get your rights next year in the draft. I guess it's not hockey, so whatever. Whatever. We could use those turnover buffs in a player like either one of those, in my opinion.
Definitely, man.
I digress.
Shout out to the chat as well, man. You guys helped us reach 100 likes. Let's march towards 200 likes. All week, we've been the best chat in regards to that on Woodward Sports Network. So definitely help us keep the streak alive. We appreciate all of the support for the new Wake Up Woodward show. And as we get into this segment, we got a caller I'm going to bring on just in a little bit, but I had to kind of set things up. Chuck Brewer in the chat said, Kool-Aid, the NFL season isn't over yet? It isn't over already? Honestly, for me, I had the perfect storm of things. You know what I'm saying? We got the new show. We got a lot of prep we got to do. Got a new baby. That's number 4 for me, man. That's the fourth Kool-Aid. Man. Yeah. That's the 4th baby Kool-Aid bunch. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to chill out with my family. You know, maybe go outside in the backyard, toss the football around with my kids, because we play what's called all their names. The boy's name starts with J, the girl's name starts with L. Obviously, the youngest girl, she ain't playing football, but it's the JJL Bowl. And we go out there, we play football, man, and we just have fun. I was like, you know what? I got the perfect excuse now to miss the Super Bowl. I don't want to see the team who took us out, who we should have beat to be in this position. But the legend T. Foss, he's having a couple people over for his house for the Super Bowl, and how can you turn down the legend? So now I guess football isn't over for me. I tried to make it over, but you guys let us know in the chat, what are you guys doing for this Super Bowl? Is football done, or are you watching the game? I want to know why as well. I definitely want to know why. But who do we have on the line, KG?
We got my man Terrell. Didn't get your location, but Terrell
from FL. Terrell from FL.
What's up? Good morning, boys. Yeah, this is Terrell from FL. You know who it is.
Oh, hey, Terrell. Hey, this is my first time talking to you, at least on the morning slot.
Of course. Oh, I called in to talk to my boy Sam real quick. I know he's feeling a little under the weather, so I'm going to tear his ass down real quick. But I didn't call in to talk about Hutch, but honestly, I think that, he gets an A. Anybody that doesn't think he gets an A, I think they might just be, expecting a little bit too much. I mean, when you throw in the sacks, pressures, interceptions, pass knockdowns, everything he does, that dude gets an A, in my opinion. But that's not why I called in. I called in to talk about CJ and touch on that conversation you guys were having a couple days ago before he got sick.
I'll let you guys handle this one.
So, Sam, I know you can hear me. This is the thing about people like CJ, and I know that you fundamentally disagree with this, but I also know how you like to take walks down memory lane. So you and I are going to take a walk down memory lane real quick, and I'm going to prove to you that these people are important. You have to have those asshole guys on your team to win. You cannot win a championship with a room full of choir boys. These are the last 10 Super Bowl winners, and I'm going to go through them real quick. Kansas City, last year. Travis Kelce is the biggest asshole shit talker on offense as far as positional players go. 2 years ago, the Rams, Aaron Donald, the biggest asshole defensive player on the planet, and Von Miller was on that team, who's a dickhead too. The year before that was Tom Brady. Tom Brady's a big asshole shit talker. He screams at everybody, including his fucking mama, probably. The year before that was Kansas City. Again, Travis Kelce and Chris Jones. Chris Jones is nasty on the field too, if you guys, pay attention. Then we got the year before that was Tom Brady again with New England. The year before that was Philadelphia with Fletcher Cox. He's an asshole. New England, the year before that was Brady. The year before that was Denver. That was Von Miller. The year before that was New England with Brady. Year before that was Seattle with the Legion of Boom. That whole defense with assholes. And the year before that was Ray Lewis with Baltimore, my boy. You have to have these dudes on your team to keep everybody sharp and to keep everybody hyped up. That's just facts.
Here's the problem with that. The players that you mentioned, you're literally mentioning guys like Travis Kelce, Ray Lewis, Chris Jones, Tom Brady, Fletcher Cox, Aaron Donald. These are some of the best players to ever play the sport and who were some of the best players on their respective teams. My point with C.J. Gardner-Johnson was more that he played 3 games. He played 2 what I deem to be, and I think are objectively bad playoff games. So it wasn't because those guys that you mentioned were shit talkers or assholes. These are some of the greatest players to ever play NFL football. All of them you mentioned are some of the greatest to ever play the sport, except maybe like a Fletcher Cox, except C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That's my point. He didn't play that much. I'm not saying it was all his fault, but when he got a chance in the playoffs, I thought he was, for the most part, a disappointment.
And that's fair. Hey, and thank you for the call, Terrell. I saw Sam just seething. I saw Sam loading the whole entire time like, yo, is this call serious right now?
Wow. This was basically him right here.
Was coming.
Yeah. It was that. That's what I was saying. I was like, KG, do you see my man over here?
Oh, yeah.
Dog. But hey, look, I got to get you guys' opinions on this as well. I saw a couple people in the chat. Some people say they're watching the Super Bowl. Some people say that they're not watching the Super Bowl. What are you guys doing for this Super Bowl Sunday?
I'm watching it.
You watching it?
Yeah, I'm watching. I'm going to T-Foss. We're going to get some Super Bowl stories throughout the entire night. I'd rather have that than the commercials, which haven't really been doing it for me the last couple of years.
Yeah,
like that was, part of the allure for me, at least. I love football, but it's like, all right, this is just a different game than all the other ones this season. It's fun. But no, I'm watching it. I'm seeing what the Lions need to go up against for next year. I'm actually rooting for Patrick Mahomes. I'm rooting for Patty Mahomes.
It's gonna happen.
What they're doing is special, and for him to get this team, they got a great defense, but for him to get this team into this game against San Francisco, if he pulls this off, he's right up there with who. He's inching there.
Yeah. Yeah, Sam, what about you, brother?
Well,
Super Bowl or not?
As everybody knows, and I'm actually, rest in peace to me ever apologizing about this again. If it's not going to be if the Lions aren't going to win the Super Bowl, my other, I would say, greatest fandom thing is that I want to see Patrick Mahomes get inch closer and closer to Tom Brady it comes to accomplishments and when it comes to Patrick Mahomes eventually cementing himself as the greatest of all time. I think right now, and I'm going to quote a guy that I'm a big fan of, Patrick Mahomes, I'm quoting Nick Wright, is the best we've ever seen already. But he needs more hardware. He already has the most at this point of his career in terms of accomplishments and individual achievements to start the career of anyone in NFL history. But if he gets his third already and his third Super Bowl MVP, you're talking about him as someone you could argue as the third greatest quarterback ever already, maybe even second, because he was a better regular season quarterback in terms of numbers than Joe Montana. So to me, it's all about Patrick Mahomes continue to stack the accomplishments and him eventually becoming the greatest ever.
I'm with you, Sam, but I got to bring some defense to the Patrick Mahomes Chiefs conversation. I know you get a lot of shit for it, but man, Patrick Mahomes is already the most talented quarterback, maybe the best quarterback of all time. Like you said, he just needs a little more hardware to be be crowned the GOAT.
Yes.
But he is already the most talented quarterback to ever play the game.
Yep. KG, what about you, brother?
Definitely watching the game. If you're a sports fan or a football fan, you're going to watch regardless. I'm hurt about my Lions too, y'all. I get it, but
this is hard to stay away, huh?
It is, man. It is. But, yeah, man, I want to see Patrick Mahomes get closer to greatness like Sam said, man. He's inching closer and closer to that spot. He will one day overtake Tom Brady, who is also a personal favorite of mine. But, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. I might have to get over to T-Foss's, man. He gave me the invite, too. Y'all kind of tempted me,
Come on,
man.
baby.
I'm still trying to figure some stuff out, but y'all tempted me, man.
For the first half, for the second half, T-Foss is going to have wangs.
Wang.
Yeah, wangs.
Wang.
Yeah, wangs.
Good wangs?
Yeah, I love these chicken wings. Head down to Atlanta with Lou Williams. Get some lemon pepper wings.
Hey, you know,
That's what I'm talking about.
we gotta make that happen. I know we talking about going to some games together as a crew, but we also got to kind of do that as well, man. I think that would be a fun trip. But JB, what about you, brother? Super Bowl or not?
I'm definitely watching it. Unfortunately, I will have to work right
Taylor
up
Swift.
until kickoff. So as soon as I'm done,
we'll order a delivery.
I'm heading straight to my house to watch the game. And honestly, I hope neither one of these teams win. I hope Usher wins. You know what? I'm watching this just for the halftime show. Forget
Big
this.
facts.
But if the only way the season will end right, unfortunately, is if the Chiefs go out there and just blow out the 49ers. That'll only be the best way to end this whole season. So hopefully that happens, but you never know with the 49ers.
Hey, for anybody that cares too, Grunk is going to make the kick this year. Just want to put that out there.
Oh, God.
It's a setup. It's a setup. He's going to make it.
Oh, man. And I know why you're watching. I know what your rooting interest is in this. For Sam, obviously, it's Patrick Mahomes. For JB, it's got to be the Taylor Swift love, huh?
Oh, yeah. You know she's going to be up on that stage touching the Lombardi trophy. And you know what? We will not hear the end of it. We won't.
Hey, as long as Mahomes gets that Super Bowl MVP. And you mentioned Gronk. You know what always makes me laugh? That commercial with where he's with the tennis racket and he sort of mistakes serve as in serve in the army with serve the tennis and he's just like, oh, you mean serve? Oh, anywho, go to break.
Right.
That wasn't necessary. Go ahead and go to break.
I love it, dog. I love it. Next up, man, the next segment, we got What's Trending with JB Smooth, the GOAT. But first, you guys got to hear from Gradin Alarm. It's a new year, and let Gradin Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT. Once again, that's 1-800-STAY-OUT.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Gradin Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Game is won in the trenches, and our big fellas don't mess around. The Woodward Heavyweights on Woodward Sports.
We've just received word. The world's cannabis supply has vanished. The public is outraged and has taken to the streets in response to this tragedy. The individual responsible acted alone, and we can only hope they will make things right soon.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
Bless his heart.
Visit Dispo Dispensary today for an exclusive new deals and experience a team that curates an unbelievable atmosphere mixed with fresh inventory from Michigan's largest variety of products. Come through our stores or order on Dispo Dash today. New year, new deals, same plug. Dispo Dispensary, disposhops.com, your local cannabis plug.
And Les Stanford.
Uno mas, por favor. What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand, you offer more products to more people. That's exactly what Les Stanford did by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC. They still have the same great service that customers have come to know and trust. Their dealership is located on Woodward Avenue, just south of 9 Mile Road, or you can always check them out in Dearborn today, also at lesstanford.com. Les Stanford Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
Welcome back. It's Wake Up Woodward. It is Super Bowl week.
Wake up. Super Bowl!
Wake up, Woodward.
It's the first. It's the 8th of the month.
It's the 8th of the month.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I know we got one more call on the line. We're going to take that, and then we're going to jump right into the greatest segment on earth, JB Smooth. What's trending with JB Smooth?
Jay Bizzle, but
who we got on the line,
we
bro?
got the OG Freddie Felt on the line.
Hey, that's the
Freddie,
bro.
welcome to Wake Up Woodward.
Hey, what up, though, fellas?
What up,
Hey, Freddie?
Freddie, man? Good to hear your voice, bro.
Hey, first off, gotta extend the pleasantries to the new show, the new format, jumping right in, touching base on all 4 sports, because, yes, there are 4 sports teams in our amazing city of Detroit, so just wanted to give you guys that shout-out.
Thank you,
Everybody's killing it, and I love what you guys are doing, so appreciate you guys. Get
That
the
means a lot.
pleasantries out of the way first.
Appreciate you, Freddie.
Yeah,
You're
for sure.
a great supporter of the entire
For sure,
network.
yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you know, I got your back like chiroprac. Anyways, dude, I got the whole Super Bowl thing, I just got to drop it. I'm going to be busy rearranging my sock drawer on Sunday. Like, I got to shampoo my hair, my long locks. I'm going to be shampooing and conditioning, you know, making sure there's no split ends. Like, bro, I'm not watching this game on Sunday. And here's why. And you can call me whatever in the chat, or you'll watch a bet. I'll show Broder knows. I'll show Broder pictures of what I'm doing. So I'm going to send him a picture of my sock drawer, all organized. My sock drawer is going to be super organized, dude. Here's why I'm not watching that stuff. I do not care to see Kermit the Frog, Patrick Mahomes go for another super. I'm here. I'm Patrick Mahomes. I don't care to see that. And you say whatever you want, but I'm going to quote the great Tommy Walker, shout out Cass Tech, the man who coined the term Detroit versus everybody. We already beat him to start the season. We beat the Chiefs. I don't care to see them, and I also don't care to see the team that needed the Angels in the outfield to win the game in the NFC Championship.
Shout out Christopher
Bouncing
Lloyd.
off of helmets, and shout out Christopher Lloyd. Angels in the outfield had to come save Bang Bang Phony Gang to get them into their 100th Super Bowl in franchise history. I don't care. I don't care to see Travis Kelce point up to Tay-Tay every time he gets a reception. You know, and I don't care about the halftime show. No disrespect to Usher. If this was 2000, trust me, I would be pop-locking in front of my TV. It's 2024, dude. I don't care about Gotta Let It Burn in 2024. So I don't watch commercials. I mute the TV when there are commercials, when I rarely watch a show that has commercials that isn't on like a streaming app. So I don't give a crap about Doritos bringing back, you know, John Goodman or whatever celebrity to do some dopey commercial. I'm not watching the game Sunday. God bless to all of you that will. I'm not watching it. But that's all I had to say about that. But I appreciate y'all. I want to get to trending with JB. Shout out to everybody in that studio that is working hard to put on the best sports show in Detroit. I love you guys. I'm out.
High praise. Thank you,
Freddie.
Whether you agree with him or not, man, the man always brings an epic phone call when he dials in, man. That was
Hey, no Usher slander,
Tay-Tay.
though. We ain't having no Usher slander on this show.
JB, do you approve of that nickname for Taylor Swift? Tay-Tay?
I guess if you want to give her that nickname, go ahead.
I hear you. Great call, Freddie. You sound a little salty. You sound, I don't know if it's Patrick Mahomes or whatever, but you remind me of a girl I used to know. JB, what's trending? You guys get that one?
Yes, sir.
We got that one. Shout out Freddie Feld 313. That was an amazing phone call. But you know what? I got the video everybody wants to see. It's time.
Let's go.
Playing the Drake video, everybody. Drake
What?
video.
Oh, no. Hey, yo.
Wait, what happened?
I'm joking.
Yeah, I was
I'm
about to say, I hope it ain't that
covered
video.
right now.
I'm joking, but You know what? I think
gotta
it's
explain
finally. I'll explain to you in a minute.
Right.
I think it's finally time that we kind of gotten over what happened to us, and I think it's time that we actually started to make jokes about it. And shout out to Coach 30. We've made it. The Lions have made it to comedy memes.
I don't know why you can't just kick a field goal. Hold on a second. I know that's not Ben. Scared to jump off the porch Johnson trying to tell me how to be a head coach. Man, ain't nobody scared. I just know we got unfinished business. And I actually love this city. So what you trying to say? I went 0-16 in this city as a player. Came back as a coach and got us 1 game away from the Super Bowl. Nobody loves this city more than me. Except for Davis's mama. She'll do anything for the D.
Yo, shout out to Coach 30 on that one. He does an amazing job on TikTok doing his film sessions. So what do you guys think about that?
JB Smooth, bro. You bringing the heat with the first one, and JB with what's trending, dog. That was hilarious, man.
Yeah, shout out, man. That's funny.
Oh my gosh, bro. What's up next, man?
I got some more stuff for you guys as well too. Tonight's actually a very special night in LA in the Crypto.com arena. They will be honoring Kobe Bryant by wearing the Black Mamba jerseys, and also his statue will be revealed outside of the arena tonight as well too. So my question to you guys is, what famous pose would you like to see Kobe Bryant in this statue as? And I've got a couple suggestions for you guys if you don't know.
Oh, this is awesome.
Jersey, reverse dunk, the fadeaway, the jersey tug, the NBA final celebration with the trophy, jersey biting, fist pumping. Which one is your favorite for the Kobe Bryant statue?
It's either got to be the fadeaway or the one where he got on the table, the jersey tug.
Bro, those are my two as well.
Those are the only two.
Those were my two.
Those are the only two. The jersey bite would look weird on the statue.
Those are my two, man. I definitely agree. The jersey tug was the one that kind of stuck out, especially if you want to make sure that you're honoring both, obviously, Lakers lore. That's what he's emblemizing right there on his jersey, and everything that he meant to that franchise and to that city, man. He made LA actually fans of a sports team. He really did, man. And that's awesome that they're doing that. When is Isaiah Thomas going to get his statue in Detroit, man? My goodness,
put it in LCA, man. What they doing, man?
Would any of you guys pick the dunk, the reverse dunk? Like, that is iconic Kobe. That's not the one I would pick, but that was my number 2. Yes, no, maybe so.
I liked it. My number 3 would be the one with him with the championship trophy, bro, with the NBA Finals jacket on. That would be my number 3. But if I had to go with the dunk, it'd probably be my number 4, man.
Okay. I mean, you got to go fadeaway. I think we're all in unison. Like that, we say Kobe. Like, that is a fadeaway. You got to.
Sam, what about you, brother?
I would probably say fadeaway, but one that's not on this. I forgot what pose he was doing, but he had a pose after they beat the Celtics in 2010.
Oh, on the announcers table.
Yeah.
The scorers table. The arms
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one because I think that was the championship that meant the most to him. That was the one. The second one where he was Finals MVP, where they couldn't say that it was Shaq carried him or anything like that. So that's probably what I would do. Yeah, the scores table.
That's a really good one. I like that one as well too. And lastly, I'll leave you guys on this video. I know we all have our ladies here in our lives, and we're out and about. But I got a question for you guys.
Broder feels left out.
I'm sorry, Broder, but I got a question for you guys. If you're out and about with your lady and she just so happens to do this, what are you doing?
Oh, in the beer.
That is a French fry and Guinness beer.
Will you marry me?
Is that your wife? Is that the one?
I don't know what I just seen right
That's
there.
your
But Broder, is that you?
We got to find her for Broder.
Something's a Dublin. I really like Guinness beer. I don't know about dipping fries into the Guinness, but it didn't look that bad. It looked better than J-Mo's what was it? His Burger King or his McDonald's order with the flurry on top? Yeah, I'd rather do that.
I mean, it's kind of nasty, man, but she might be nasty in other areas too. So,
what up, though?
Hey, dog, man, what's some of you guys' crazy kind of food combos though? You guys got anything quirky?
I don't like mayonnaise. It's not a quirky thing that I eat, but I despise of mayonnaise. It's disgusting. Miracle Whip? Are you kidding me?
Miracle Whip is in mayonnaise.
I know, but they're both
it's in the family.
Egg and fat.
It's just
nasty.
Jeez.
Just me.
Sheesh. JB, that was an epic. What's trending with JB today, man. And definitely, you guys, looks like we got a few more minutes here for mailbag as well. So definitely get your questions into the chat. Get your mailbag questions going, whether it's on any of our 4 sports team, whether it's really anything dealing with kind of Detroit sports culture on any type of level. But, man, this was a good show, guys.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed this one, man. This was a good one.
Hell yeah.
I don't expect anything less.
Yeah.
Cool. Can I put you on the spot and make a prediction?
Definitely.
What are the Pistons going to do before 3 p.m.? Give me something. Even if it's not specific, give me they're going to trade.
I believe they're going to either trade either Alec Burks or Isaiah Stewart. I'm hoping that one of those deals also includes Killian Hayes out of here too. I really believe that it's just time for him to kind of have a new address, not in Detroit, man. I just take that, the tinge of him being the very first draft pick of this restore and not even being currently one of the top 6 or 7 players on this team. Just kind of take this somewhere else, especially with all of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. But Alec Burks or Isaiah Stewart, if I had to predict one or the other, I would believe that one of those guys is going to be traded today.
What about the Pelicans? We getting Brandon Ingram or Zion on the Pistons tomorrow? I'm serious. Brandon Ingram, bring him home.
Not a chance.
Not at all. Not a chance,
big Bone Thugs and Harmony fan.
Not a chance there, man. But I do believe that Willie Green, obviously he and Monty Williams, they got that connection, man. Hopefully
Trey
there
Murphy?
is something. That's what I saw a lot of people talking about.
Really? Wait, I was just throwing that up.
No. Not in terms of the rumors, but in terms of who people are hoping is the return. And I would be happy with that. I really would, man. If they could come away with like Trey, if they come away with Buddy, then you're talking about a pretty decent trade deadline, and you're surrounding kind of like your young stars with some pretty good players, man.
Yeah,
for real.
Just need a little bit of new life.
Yeah,
a little new life. I would love
life.
Trey Murphy. We got any other questions in here? Mailbag. We got 2 minutes left in the show. 2 minutes till 10 o'clock. We got Big D Energy coming up at 11, from 11 to 1. We got Armani and Edwards from 2 to 4, and the heavyweights from 5 to 7.
Yeah, and we got a couple mailbags here.
Here we go.
Vincent Ellison, the second, he said, mailbag, will Brad Holmes trade out of the first round?
No.
Please don't.
I don't think so,
Please don't.
but I'm going to go with a no. I don't think he is. He might. That 29th spot, there are going to be teams in the early second round that want to trade up to get that 5th-year rookie option on that contract. And if Brad Holmes can add another 4th rounder or 5th rounder for either this draft, probably next draft, he might do that. But we all know whether it's Jackson Powers Johnson or anyone else, Jared Verse, someone he wants in that first round, he'll go up and get him.
Yeah,
you know?
I expect him to move up, not move down.
Yeah.
Because it's a draft in Detroit. You gotta have the first round pick in Detroit. So and plus they need a first round talent on this defense. Just being absolutely real. But I mean, if he gets an offer he can't refuse, I can see him doing it. But I don't think he will.
Yeah.
Hey, here's another one from Eduardo O'Neill. Shout out to Eduardo for that call as well. And this one's for you, JB, and probably a little bit for KG as well, for our wrestling aficionados.
Okay, all right.
It says for JB, would a Lions Chiefs Super Bowl next year be more like Punk versus Cena 2011 or Roman versus Cody, or you have a better one? Also, is WWE working us with Rock Roman?
They are absolutely working. Yeah. But I'll let JB go. Go ahead, JB.
Yeah. They're working us with their Rock and Roman thing. I don't know. I kind of feel like it would be CM Punk and Cena, just because I think the Lions would more than likely handle the Chiefs with ease. What do you think, KG?
I'm thinking similar. I'm thinking like you are.
Yeah, and the whole Rock thing, it's disappointing because you know you want to see Cody finish the story, but I think there's going to be a better ending that we all just don't even know about so far when it comes to it.
Listen, people. The Cody is going to be in the main event somehow, some way. Relax. Sending death threats to The Rock's daughter.
Yeah, that was unnecessary.
Like, it's pretty wild.
Let the stuff play out first, but the WWE is absolutely working y'all right now. Just be patient. Let it play out. Cody will have the title probably at WrestleMania. So let's just chill and enjoy the ride, man.
Listen to KG.
Triple H
Listen to
has
JB.
got this.
Yes.
And KG, JB, can you, because I won't say it correctly, but D-Mac is fighting tonight. He's got an event tonight.
Yeah,
Are you able to plug that for us?
That's
shout
right.
out D-Mac. He is taking on former WWE star Matt Riddle. He's in I think it was a tag team match. I can't remember whether it's Combat One Sports, I want to say.
Yes.
It's Combat One. Yeah, so check out Combat One Sports. You can catch D-Mac going against Matt Riddle tonight. Should be a banger, man.
D-Mac is working on that Hall of Fame wrestling career.
Yeah.
D-Mac, D-Mac has a lot going on outside of here. One of the greatest guys ever, but he's got wrestling. He does it all. D-Mac is one of those guys we're proud to work with him. Go support him tonight. I forget where it is. We'll share it in the chat. I'll spam the chat in Big D Energy. But go support D-Mac.
Definitely, man.
Four-time
Look,
Stanley Cup
if you guys are still in the chats, we're like, 70, maybe 80 away from 200, man. Definitely hit that like button on the way out. Thank you guys for being here and supporting Wake Up Woodward, man. For Flannel Sam Reynolds, the man. For our booth boys, I'm telling you, these guys are elite human beings. They're elite at their jobs.
Appreciate it.
I'm glad that you guys are part of this show. JB Smooth, the GOAT, and KG, Detroit's #1 draft pick. For your Detroit Lions and Detroit Tigers beat writer, and for your Detroit Pistons beat writer, we got Matt Broder over here.
Today's
we got
about you.
Brandon Dent, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid. And definitely tap into Woodward Pistons a little bit later, man, for a recap of this trade deadline. But thank you guys for sticking with us. This was a fun show. You guys made it fun. We always like the callers. We always like to chat. Let's keep the streak going. Let's continue to beat the other shows. This is, I think, the best chat. Would you happen to say that?
Oh, yeah. We're working our way there. I did just say that about Knights 2 weeks ago, so I got to give it a little time. I don't want to be saying the same thing and just speaking. I love the chat that we're building. We're building it. You guys are so supportive. I appreciate it.
Yep. Any last words for the people, Mr. Sam Flannel?
Well, I have a different experience because I've been on this show consistently. I believe it's the best chat, but I also understand, Broder, you had to give love to Woodward Knights, and shout out Woodward Knights, by the way. Long live.
R.I.P.
Yep.
Long live.
We got stuff cooking.
Yep.
We'll be back.
Long live. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, I think that's a show, man. Yo, look, this one was fun. I appreciate you guys always. The support is great all the time. I think this chain might become a kind of a fixture on this show.
It looks good on you, Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I think I can rock it as well. But y'all got to see the Batman shirt too, man. Go
Hey,
Batman
shout out.
all the time. Yeah,
Shout out.
definitely, man. Shout out DC. But hey, this was Wake Up with Woodward, man. Thank you guys for hanging around. Till next time, you all definitely tap back in tomorrow morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Let's go.
Let's go.